We are grateful that President Trump was willing to send resources and people in order to enforce the law.
You said LA wouldn't be standing if not for these federal deployments? Basic training is being reduced from 13 weeks to 8 weeks in an attempt to accelerate the hiring and the onboarding of these officers.
I have a few clips from Face the Nation with Kristi Noem I wanted to hop into and debunk as she talks about immigration and Trump largely, so if you can, leave us a like on the video. It helps us out a ton. It lets us know you enjoy the content, and let's get right to the takedown.
We've learned that Immigration and Customs Enforcement is planning on expanding operations in the coming days to Chicago. When are those operations expected to start? And you said in recent days that you're using the recent deployments in Los Angeles as a model. What does that mean?
Well, we've already had ongoing operations with ICE in Chicago and throughout Illinois and other states, making sure that we're upholding our laws. But we do intend to add more resources to those operations. I won't disclose the details because they are law enforcement and investigative folks that are on the ground there, and I want to make sure we keep their security our #1 priority. But we will continue to go after the worst of the worst across the country like President Trump has told us to do.
Yeah, so the problem with this is simply we know it's not true. Over 70% of ICE detainees have no criminal record. A large other portion is low-level offenses like traffic tickets or just the immigration violation itself. They are mobilizing only in blue cities that have had dropping crime rates while ignoring red cities with rising ones. So it's clearly partisan as well. If it was supposed to be the worst and they're like unbiasedly going after the worst, one, why just blue cities? Two, you wouldn't be raiding Home Depots. You wouldn't be grabbing those who have been here for decades without charge. You wouldn't have deported a U.S. citizen child. Now, we have, again, citizens also being detained. We have residents also being detained, looking at being deported, people being sent to countries they have orders to not be sent to. It's all pretty insane stuff, and MAGA will keep eating it up as necessary as long as their cult leader says so.
You said LA wouldn't be standing if not for these federal deployments?
So many of those homes and businesses that were in downtown LA and in those areas were dealing with riots and violence, and coming in and bringing those federal law enforcement officers in was incredibly important to keeping peace. And so we are grateful that President Trump was willing to send resources and people in order to enforce the law. And Ed, since then, we have arrested 5,000 dangerous illegal criminals out of LA and removed them from our country and had them face justice for their crimes.
Yeah, again, this falls apart when you realize that 70% of ICE detainees have no criminal record whatsoever. I think in LA, the number was even specifically was slightly a little higher, like 75%. Riots are always bad. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to do a MAGA, right? MAGA, it's funny because they thought that the riots on January 6th were fine enough that they cheered on the pardons for people who even beat cops at these riots. But ones that are confined to a few blocks in LA are now the end of the world to MAGA. In my opinion, these are ones that can be handled by local law enforcement. They were confined in a few blocks. It seemed that LAPD was handling them fine by the arrest numbers and by local law enforcement's own words, saying they didn't need the help. I love that she says, we are grateful, as someone who doesn't live in LA, wasn't in LA when it happened, and has no stake in the matter. It's also just not what the city wants, not what the mayor wants, not what the governor wants, and it's overwhelmingly unpopular in polling. So who is this for again?
Basic training is being reduced from 13 weeks to 8 weeks in an attempt to accelerate the hiring and the onboarding of these officers. There's signing bonuses, some age caps have been lifted. Did the hiring standards get lowered in part to meet this daily quota of 3,000 arrests?
Oh, what we've done as far as recruitment, and again, Ed, we've got over 130,000 people that have applied to be a part of that 10,000 new hires within ICE. But
you have to love that MAGA claimed DEI was lowering hiring standards, lowering the quality of hires, and we have to care about merit above all else. This was without any evidence. Of course, it was just, black people being hired mean lower quality standards. Black less qualified is literal racism. But yet now, and this goes to that point, they think ICE actually lowering training standards and hiring standards is somehow okay, probably because most of the hires will be white, right? I mean, this is actually wild too, though, because these are the people with masks who are going to be disappearing people on the streets with no explanation. Why would we want them to have no training? Why would we be happy about this, be angry about DEI guys because hiring black people lowers quality of hires, but be happy about ICE lowering the quality of hires because we got to get these immigrants out of here? Like, this is the MAGA worldview.